This is Kyle McCord, and you're listening to Austin, Felix, and Matt on the Devy Debate.
Welcome to the Devy Debate. All right, boys, are we ready to debate? Austin, you tweeted something, girl. You tweeted your running back rankings. Explain yourself.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand, fellas. You jumped up and
That's Austin Nace.
Who is going to be that guy? And for me, Bijan Robinson is still going to be that guy.
Back to the ground with Robinson, who spins and then tries to bounce it. A stiff arm, another one as he rides it, keeps his balance. They're going to say he stepped out, but
I'm Felix Sharp. I know you didn't think that we would get through this episode without mentioning the name one Zach F. Wilson.
Screener draw. Oh, Wilson is going to uncourt for the end zone, and he drops it in beautifully. And it is his roommate, Dax Milne, on the touchdown.
That's Matt Bruning.
G. Scott Jr. Obviously, I waxed poetic about him on the last episode, so I won't do that again here.
And this time it's Fields on the carry. Watch out! Justin Fields! Hello, Columbus! 51 yards!
Bruning, are you ready to go head-to-head with me?
I am.
Got to get my popcorn out here. Hold on.
Got to continue. I got it. Kyle McCord is going to end up winning the job. He's going to be rated higher.
Well, I'm not nearly as passionate about what I'm about to talk about.
Our apologies to Kirk Herbstreit. We ran out of time. We'll get him rescheduled soon. And for Matt Bruning and Austin Nace, I'm Felix Sharp. Good night and good luck.
It's 9:30 Eastern time, the only time zone that's immunized. That means it's time for the Devy Debate, brought to you by CampusToCanton.com. That's Matt Bruning. That's Austin Nace, and I'm Felix Sharp. On a vaccinated version of tonight's show, who are we looking to roster in 2022, and what is Odell Beckham Jr.'s value? But we start with the initial college football playoff rankings, and I'm going to be transparent with the audience here. I don't think this is good content. I don't. We had a discussion about what we would talk about today. And after that discussion, I went and talked with my family. I talked with my lawyer. And I prayed about it. And I prayed to Joe Brady, actually. And I think I'm going to protest this conversation. And I'm going to sit it out. I'm going to take a knee. But audience, you can let us know what you think. I'm protesting this conversation. Austin and Matt Bruning, I hand it over to you.
Good riddance, as far as I'm concerned. I think he can still hear us. Doesn't matter. Good riddance.
It's all right.
Matt, why don't you lead it off here? Because I know you feel very passionately about a certain little OG5 school.
I mean, passionate, I feel like it's a little bit of an overstatement. I don't really like what they did. And I get, so going to, you posted a Twitter poll about it. We talked a little bit about, what the wins mean. And I do agree with what you posted saying that they're supposed to put the best four schools in there. And is Oregon really one of the four best schools in college football? Just yes or no?
Probably not. But
the
thing that I think separates them from Cincy is that I think their big win
is much better.
Is significantly better than a win over Notre Dame.
I agree with that. But then the question that I asked you, because again, just basing it on the wins, which I agree it's not all about that. Why is their win over Notre Dame not better than Ohio State's over Penn State?
I think that's fair. And they're inconsistent with their application of eye test versus resume. Yeah. But I think resume is also a fairly difficult thing to quantify.
I agree. So my issue with it, and it's something I posted in there, is if Notre Dame had won that game, they'd be undefeated. I guarantee you they'd be top four. They probably would be 3 or 4 right now. So the fact that Cincinnati beat them, and that's their only loss, I think should matter. Now, I agree with you. Notre Dame is not really a great team. They're not. My thing with Cincinnati is, are they an overall great team? No. They're a very good defensive team. Their offense struggles. So does Georgia's. Now, granted, their defense is better than Cincinnati's, and their offense is probably a little bit better than Cincinnati. Alabama, offense is good, defense is good. Neither one great. So you could argue the same thing with Oregon. I think their defense is probably a step up from Alabama's. Ohio State probably has the best offense. Their defense is horrible. I'm sorry. It just is. There's flaws with all of these teams. If you go back and look at who they put in the playoffs, I'm sorry. They're better than almost all of the Notre Dame teams that have made it into the playoffs over the past couple years. Now, they're not better than the Florida State, Oregon, Ohio State that made it in that first year, right? They're better than the Michigan State team that made it in 2015, 2016. They're better than the Washington team that made it in 2016. They're better than the Notre Dame team that made it in the past couple years. We're discounting them because they're a G5 team, and I just don't think that part of it is fair. Now, I still think they have a shot to make it in because there's a lot that could go wrong ahead of them. I don't necessarily think that Alabama is going to beat Georgia. So if Alabama loses again, there was a couple people talking today. Ray Garvin and Jordan Richards on their morning show saying they think if Alabama loses in a close game, they'll still get in. I do not think they'll put Alabama in if they have 2 losses. The biggest thing I think that could hurt Cincinnati is Oklahoma. I know they have them at 8, but if they win out, I think they get in. There's no way you're keeping Oklahoma out, especially with the games they have coming down the stretch in Oklahoma State. There's another really big game they have, and if they win the Big 12. So then it comes down to what happens between Ohio State and Oregon. I think Oregon likely loses at some point because I don't think Oregon's a very good school. But my other thing with Oregon and you having them at 4, and I honestly think Cincinnati should have been in the top 4 because of this. Granted, I know they lost Kayvon Thibodeau, and I know they didn't have Moorhead because he had like a family situation or something. They lost to Stanford. Stanford is not better than even some of the teams that Cincinnati has beaten this year, and they lost to them. I understand it was overtime and close losses matter and all that crap. But Cincinnati did what they were supposed to, right? They scheduled good games. They scheduled an Indiana team that was supposed to be good. They scheduled a Notre Dame team that is, I would say, at least top 15 in the country. They may not be top 10. I don't know. I honestly don't remember who the rest of the top 10 are. But they did their job. It is not their fault that Indiana, because Michael Penix got hurt and is just completely fallen apart this year. They went in and they beat Notre Dame like they were supposed to. And now all of a sudden it's, oh, well, you know what? Now it's just not good enough anymore. It's not good. Notre Dame's not a good enough win anymore when any other year it would be. That's the part that frustrates me. I honestly don't care if they get in. I think they deserve to be in if they go undefeated. There's still a lot of season left. They haven't looked great in some games, right? I mean, they didn't look great against Navy. But also, I think we brought this up on the tailgate. Michigan lost a couple years ago to an academy team. Those academy teams are not always easy to beat. Ohio State struggled with Navy. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. Like, those teams are not always easy to beat because you can't really run those option offenses, so it's hard to plan for that. So I'm not going to hold that against them that they couldn't do it. If you want to hold it against them that their offense isn't that good with Desmond Ridder, I'll listen to the conversation. But putting them behind some of those teams, I just don't believe in.
So I think the Cincinnati's. I don't want to talk anymore. Hi, Dad. The thing that I think
I'm protesting this conversation.
Is that your
not
Snuggie?
Paying attention?
The thing that I think is what bothers me the most about Cincinnati, and I actually don't think they're the team that has the most, quote unquote, disrespectful ranking. I think Oklahoma's is actually more disrespectful. But I think in some years, like if Cincinnati had a bunch, if their conference this year was its normal, a couple of teams hovering around 20 to 25, we would say they don't have the big win. And then this year they're going to get that big win, and we're going to say, well, they didn't beat anybody else. I think that's the problem that I have. Like, the only other chance they have to do anything this year, they play SMU on November 20th. So I do think if they win that game and one team falters in front of them, I think that they're probably sitting pretty at that point because that'll be 2 top 25 wins. But I think that's the issue I have with them. Oklahoma, again, I mean, I think that they're not the 8th best team in the country. I mean, they're not they're better than that. That phrasing on that was awkward.
If you were, I know you're not like a bookmaker or line maker or anything. If it was Cincinnati versus Oklahoma, what would you put the line at right now?
Neutral field, so no home advantage. I think Oklahoma would be favored by less than 3, maybe like a 2.5 or something like that, as I think would be roughly the line.
So that's why I feel like Cincinnati is the reason I think they put Oklahoma there, and I didn't really watch a whole lot of the show, but I heard him talk. A lot of it was due to how bad Spencer Rattler was at the beginning of the year. They they almost lost to Tulane, which again, Cincinnati beat Tulane better than what Oklahoma did. And I get some of that was because of Spencer Rattler being in there. And again, I honestly think they put Oklahoma there at 8, and I agree that is a little bit disrespectful. But they're one of those teams that controls their own destiny. If they went out, they're in. There's no way they're not making it because they're going to be undefeated. They're going to beat a bunch of good teams on the way, and they're going to be Big 12 undefeated champions, which seems likely with Caleb Williams. That team looks completely different since Caleb Williams has taken over. So I get what you mean on that part, but like realistically, not putting Cincinnati in the top 4, I think almost limits their ceiling now. Like they have to have everything else crumble in front of them for them to make it in, where if they were at least 3 or 4, they had a chance to somewhat control their own destiny. That's where I feel like it's disrespectful because it's like we've asked them to do everything that they've done, and then, now it's not good enough. Now you needed to go do this. That's just not fair to them. I understand you're not supposed to look at what they did last year, but they didn't lose many pieces from last year. They stayed with Georgia in that bowl game. They had a very good team last year, and they've just come back this year and proved they're even better, in my opinion, on defense. And again, the offense is not great. And if they were on a neutral field with Bama or Georgia, I don't think that they would win the game. But I also don't think it'd be a blowout like we've seen Alabama and Georgia take Notre Dame to the woodshed the past couple times that they've been out there. I think that they would be able to be somewhat decent in those games. Maybe they lose by 10 points. Maybe. But I don't think that they get blown out.
I have one last question for you because I know Felix is itching to get back in.
I think we should just kick him out of here. We can just do the show ourselves.
This is so riveting. It's so riveting. This is so riveting.
UTSA, one of the last remaining, what are there, 6 undefeated teams left or something like that in FBS? UTSA, one of them not ranked at all in this system, which has caused a ton of uproar. I think it's correct. I don't think they're one of the top 20. I mean, I know that the wins have to count for something, but like, welcome to the club where you have to string together a couple of years before teams are going to take you seriously. I mean, ask Boise, ask UCF, ask Cincinnati now, TCU back when they were still a G5 squad, how you have to do that. I mean, look, their schedule is embarrassing. Their strength of schedule is like 110th or something like that. And people want to use this new strength of record metric. The strength of record has been used in NCAA basketball for a while. It doesn't work for football, guys, because there's only 12 games in a season. It doesn't translate like it does for college basketball, where these teams are playing 30, 40 games a year. So get the fuck out of here with your strength of record. It's not a reliable metric, and use strength of schedule. And I mean, the answer is right in front of you if you do that.
No, yeah, I agree. I think they will get to top 25 if they continue to go undefeated. Because, oh man, I don't know what just happened. But I mean, what's realistically their best win? Is it Illinois, who they beat by 7 points? Like, I'm with you. I don't think that they should be top 25 right now. But if they do finish out the season undefeated, I would almost bet they make it into the top 25. They're going to go to a decent bowl game. So. But I don't think any of those guys who are talking about them need to be top 10 or whatever because they're undefeated. Yeah, I'm with that. The schedule is bad. It's bad. Yeah.
All right, Felix.
All right, you all did terribly. That was awful. Please let us know at Devy. Please let us know at Devy Debate on Twitter that I was right, that conversation was not. We should not have included it on today's show. Let's move on to something that actually is interesting, at least in my opinion, and that is the status of Browns wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., who has not officially been cut yet, but it seems that we are going towards that direction. Either that or they're going to freeze him for the rest of the season. But it seems like Kevin Stefanski has noted to his team that OBJ is no longer a part of the team. Guys, I still think that he is a really talented player. It just didn't work in Cleveland. This could be Odell Beckham's what the Raiders were to Randy Moss. and I still think that there's a lot of value there. Is Odell Beckham Jr. a trade target in dynasty leagues, Austin Nace?
All right, coming to me first and not the Cleveland guru.
Well, Matt's got his mic off and he's typing down there. I don't know. He's not even paying attention because he's got all his college football playoff stuff out of his system, and I guess he's just done with the show now.
No, I was trying to look up something so that I can reference here about OBJ when it gets to me. So please go first, Austin. You're good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. The problem with players like Odell when they get to this point in their career is that I think if you have him, you're so hesitant to sell him for virtually nothing. And if you're buying him, you don't even want to spend market price, because I think at that point you feel like the chances of you recouping value on that are relatively low. I don't know what market price is on him. I don't really use a lot of like the trade calculators or anything out there. I don't particularly subscribe to the cult of keep trade cut or whatever. I don't use any of those things. So I don't know exactly what his value is, but Browns fans seem to have certainly turned on Stefanski this year for whatever reason. And, I think the play calling and things like that have been far from perfect, but I mean, I've watched a couple Browns games this year, and certainly I watched this past week against the Steelers because I'm a Steelers fan. And like, they didn't lose because of, Baker or Stefanski or anything like that. I mean, that team is like just in the hospital ward, man. I mean, on both sides of the ball, they've got all these dudes out or, hurting. So I have a hard time putting any blame on Stefanski. First off, I just don't think he clicks with Baker for whatever reason. Baker doesn't stay on reads long enough, in my opinion. It's really, really weird because he's such kind of I don't want to call him a gunslinger because I don't think he has the tools for that necessarily, but like he kind of just wants to chuck it around. So it's so bizarre to me that he won't stay on reads long enough. Like, if you could fuse him and Justin Fields' timing into one player, that'd be the perfect player, because Justin Fields hangs on to stuff for way too long. But so I don't know if he's a buy. I don't know. Matt, are you buying him?
I am, because I think once he leaves Cleveland, he's going to be good. And I really believe that. Now, I will fully admit, I have loved Odell since before he came into the NFL as a rookie. I've been all in him. I was ecstatic. I remember the day, I want to say it was Jared who texted me. Someone texted me, and I'm almost positive it was Jared Wackerly, texted me when he knew somebody or like his cousin works in like the Browns front office, and he told me that there's a chance we were going to be trading for Odell. I remember my dad was here. I was so fucking excited because I love Odell as a player. And I thought, this is it. Finally, we had a GM and John Dorsey. We were going to go all in. It was finally our time. And I agree with you on this year. Like, the team is beat up. It's bad. The defense is still struggling. Joe Woods, I just don't think he's a very good defensive coordinator. And Stefanski, I think, is the issue with Beckham. I do not think he's the issue with the team. He's always been a run-heavy coach. Emmanuel Acho talked about this yesterday. I saw him tweet it out, and that's what I was looking for when Felix just had to call me out here on the show. Before he took over play calling for the Vikings, Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs were getting targeted in like a ridiculous amount, right? Like, that was before Stephon Diggs wanted to get traded. Both those guys were top 12 because I kept comparing Baker to Kirk Cousins in that year. I was like, Baker's going to have that type of season, right? He's going to be – what's going on, Kevin? Baker's going to be able to turn that around, and he's going to be exactly like what Kirk Cousins was back in that year that he was there. Then when Stefanski took over play calling, Stephon Diggs saw a 38% loss in targets, and Adam Thielen saw 58% loss in targets. The thing everybody seems to forget about, when Odell came to Cleveland that first year, horrible play calling, by the way, with Freddie Kitchens, who literally told him and Jarvis Landry to just run deep every single play. Odell finished with over 1,000 yards, and I believe it was 3 or 5 touchdowns that season with Cleveland. Since Stefanski took over, he's seen his targets dip 32%. On top of the dip in targets, you are exactly right on Baker. I do think he is a little bit of a gunslinger, but he's not going to challenge on every throw. He throws to the guy that's open. And the problem with that is I think Odell is likely his first read on every single play. And they have Odell running these deep routes a lot of times, and Jarvis is just open. Jarvis is so good at creating separation so quickly and so quickly off the line that he's hitting Jarvis Landry or he's throwing it to his tight ends, and that just eliminates Odell from most plays. And granted, A lot of people are going to focus on the drops. Odell's had a lot of big drops this year. He's hit him when he was open. He's just dropped the ball. I just think Odell doesn't want to be there. I think that's what's affecting him mentally, why he is not playing well. I hope they don't do what Felix said, because there's a lot of rumors in the Cleveland Browns community about that right now, that they're just going to do exactly what the Texans are doing with Watson. It's like, we have to eat the $8 million anyway, so we're just going to make him a healthy and active every single week. Don't be petty. Just let him go. There's already enough bad stuff going on in this locker room with all this stuff. You know he's got a bunch of friends in that locker room.
I disagree. Let me jump in here. I disagree with you there, because Odell Beckham Jr. is absolutely, if you put him on waivers, he could absolutely kill you come, later down in the season. And the Browns consider themselves to be a playoff team. So strategically, if they're going to eat that $8 million, they could just eat that $8 million. I think that that's actually smart if the organization is just going to hold on to him and freeze him out like the Texans are doing Deshaun Watson. I mean, he could end up with freaking Kansas City. He could end up in Tampa Bay. He could end up with any of these playoff teams that could use a field stretch. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. is way more than a field stretcher, but he would fit in some other teams, the Chargers. I mean, he would fit with some teams that could potentially, make Cleveland's road to the playoffs more difficult. And we haven't seen it. I mean, I'm wondering why we haven't seen him released yet. I mean, and that could be why. Anything else on Odell? Go ahead.
I understand that part of it, but I also, and again, I mentioned this today when me and Matt Fox talked about it on the round table. I truly believe in karma and all that stuff. I think you're setting up for really bad juju if you do that. Because again, I don't think Jarvis is a professional, right? Jarvis is not going to take any of this to heart. I think he's still going to go out there and play his ass off like he always does. But I guarantee you Odell has a ton of friends in that locker room. It's not just Jarvis. And I do think some people will look at that a little bit sideways, and I understand they'll probably, it is a business. But you're just, in my opinion, hurting yourself a little bit by doing that. I get he could go to a team that you could end up playing, but you know what? It's going to make it even sweeter if you play that team and beat them with Odell on the other side of the field. Like, just do the right thing for you and your franchise. It didn't work out. Just let him go. Let him go do his thing. You guys move forward, because now you're going to get all day today. Baker's press conference. It was nothing but Odell and his dad and what they said about him. I don't want to see that shit every week. We're fucking 4-4. We were supposed to be a playoff team. I agree with Austin. I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs this year. They have not been good. Move on. Stop with all the. We're not supposed to be the old Cleveland Browns anymore. Stop with the bullshit. Let him go. Let him go do his thing. You guys focus on you. Do your thing. Let's all just move on and be happy.
All right.
That's
Matt
what matters,
Bruning is advocating for the billion dollar franchise to worry about karma.
The Browns fan meltdown this season has been extra good. Extra good.
Wow. I've been telling people to stop because we are only 8 games in. They have a chance to make the playoffs, but it happens. I mean,
warms
again,
my heart.
Everybody picked them to be Super Bowl contenders. So.
Boys, we are looking towards 2022 and who are going to roster in Devy and C2C leagues. And so the bulk of today's show, we're going to be talking about players that we want to have on more rosters next season. I can start this off here. I'm going to start with Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen, the freshman running back for the Wisconsin Badgers. Why was Jalen Berger expendable? Because they had this hoss behind him. Recruited as a safety, 6'2", 240. He's had an absolutely outstanding October with 20 carries, 12, 16, 18, and then 104, 140, 108, 131 yards rushing. When Wisconsin identifies a running back that it likes, that's their running back. And just the way Jonathan Taylor started getting the carries his freshman season, here late on in this season, Braylon Allen is starting to get carries. Definitely not as explosive as Jonathan Taylor, but, I mean, this is how I felt about him. I traded a Devy first-round pick for Braylon Allen. I know that 2022 freshman class is thought to be very exciting, but I feel confident about Allen. He's with a team that's going to feed him the rock. He has NFL size, and he may even be later this year. He may even be an asset to use in my starting lineup, and he could develop into that next year. We saw how Sean Tucker went from kind of okay freshman season, but did have some positive games to breaking out his second season. Well, I think Braylon Allen's got better physical tools in a team that's built around his skill set. We know good and well they ain't going to throw the ball with Graham Mertz. So Braylon Allen is someone I like. And like I said, in a competitive league, I traded a Devy first-round pick for him. So Braylon Allen, I think by the time we get to March, April, he's going to be a third, fourth-round pick, somewhere around there. And people are going to be looking to build around him on their C2C rosters. I think he's a Devy asset, not just a C2C asset. Guys, Matt, give me your thoughts on that one, or give me one of yours.
Yeah, I mean, I like Allen. We talked, when did we talk about him? I feel like it was forever ago. It was probably Coast to Coast with Christian and Kevin, I believe. I just want to see it for one more year. But I don't disagree with you. I mean, I would argue Georgia's RBU, but Wisconsin has done a very good job of producing running backs and getting them into the NFL. So if they really do think he's the next guy in line, I'm all in on him as well. I don't know that I really want him on a ton of my rosters, but I do think he can be really good.
I worry, and I think this is going to come up in a lot of this discussion here tonight, how much some of these guys are going to cost. Like, let's even ignore like trade value. Like if somebody already has him, what it would take to pry away, just like pure, like what I'm starting to kind of piece together ADP might look like as we roll into February, March. I feel like he's going to be like a top 48 pick. I don't think I want to spend that kind of,
why not?
That kind of pick on him. Why not? That's a really good question. I guess I would need to see the whole board of like the top 60 before I could definitively say that. I feel like there are players. Well, that's a good question. There are players in that range that I think are going to feel a little more secure for me. And I'm really big on like not, because I know you're going to miss no matter what on some of these, but like
right,
trying to not miss and not necessarily swing for the fences in the first like 5 rounds. And he feels like kind of a Hail Mary.
He didn't feel like a Hail Mary to me because of his size-adjusted athleticism and then the team that he's playing for. I mean, Wisconsin is built to run the ball with a player like this. I mean, that's why he's been getting so many carries the last couple of weeks. Again, 20, 12, 16, 18. This is a true freshman who is he supposed to be in high school, Austin?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, young freshman who is absolutely carrying the load. So I think that and again, he's averaging 7 yards a carry. I mean, I know yard per carry average, but you think about the boxes that he has to be going up against, and he's just getting chunk yards. He's got a 70-yard run, 28-yard run, 33-yard run, 23-yard run. So this is a big boy. You're talking about 6'2", 240. So ideal size. Can he catch the ball? I don't know, but I mean, Devy picks are dart throws anyway. I think that I have something pretty solid as far as a dart throw goes with Braylon Allen. All right, Austin, give me one of your guys who you are trying to have rostered more in 2022.
Is Graham Mertz not respected by defenses, you think?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, it's Peyton Manning, but like last year Peyton Manning, not like earlier Peyton Manning, I think. So actually, I tried to pick some weirder names out of here, and I think most of the ones I tried to pick, I did pick a few that would just be like, I'll just kind of mention in passing it as kind of, more C2C options. But how about Taj Brooks, running back for Texas Tech, is a guy that I think I'm going to end up with a lot in drafts next year for a couple of reasons, because I think he kind of hits some of the things I'm looking for. He started off the season really strong and then got a minor injury and hasn't really played since. So I think he's going to be off people's radars. There's an opening there. Roderick Thompson, their other running back there, is going to be gone, who he was filling in for at the beginning of the year and did quite well. And Texas Tech hasn't performed overly, amazingly as an offense this year. So I think that they're going to kind of be out of sight, out of mind for people. But Taj Brooks is kind of almost everything you want in a running back. He's got the size. He's 5'10", 220. He's got that perfect RB build. He can catch passes pretty darn well, I think. And one of the things that jumped out to me when I watched him at first is anytime they put the ball in his hands, he looks like he was just shot out of a damn cannon, which I think is a trait that I kind of like in running backs. I don't want them to just recklessly run into the back of their linemen, but I don't think he does that. I think he's He's decisive. He sees the hole quickly, and he's willing to hit it. He's got really nice athletic ability. He's just a very well-rounded package. I think he can put up really nice numbers next year at Texas Tech. I think he can get drafted with some okay capital. He's never going to be a round 1 or probably even a round 2 guy, but I think you can start talking about round 3 for him. Feels fair. So I like him a lot, and I think he's going to be off the draft board in anything but deeper Devy drafts and C2C. I don't think he goes to first 10 rounds. So that's like a golden guy that I'm just kind of circling on my lists that I'll probably have a lot of next year.
I like him. I'm already on a couple of my teams, so I'm with you on that.
Where do you have him ranked, Austin?
Right now, like on my pure C2C rankings, I have him as RB. Search functional work. RB 50.
Okay.
Not far behind guys like Brandon Thomas, Jaquavius Marks, some names that we know. I have him in that range. So,
all right, Matt, give us one of yours.
Yeah, so I went like the complete opposite way that you guys did. 2 of these guys will probably be talked about. I don't know.
CJ Stroud.
No.
John Robinson.
Mecca Ibuka.
I don't think at least 2 of these guys are going to be talked about at all. You could probably get them fairly cheap. One of the guys I've already talked about, I mentioned him on Twitter recently, is Konata Mumpfield, the wide receiver out of Akron, freshman. He is 6'1", 180. And he's actually putting up some pretty decent stats for not being the number 1 there. 30% dominator rating. Right now he's sitting as a wide receiver 45 in total points. He's leading the NCAA, last I checked, in reception market share, a weighted dominator rating of 33%. I just think that he's a very good wide receiver that you're going to be able to get very late, and I think he's going to be able to put up some decent points in the coming years. So that's, in all honesty, how I kind of attacked this list. I guess I should have thought, hey, the name of the show is Devy Debate. We're probably attacking this from a Devy angle. I attack this more from like a C2C angle. But he's a guy that I think you could get. I know he wasn't drafted in any C2Cs this year, and I'd bet he's probably going to be after round 30 or 40 in C2C drafts next year, because I don't know anybody that's talking about him, and I think he could be a very interesting play, especially if he becomes the 1 there in Akron next year.
No, I think it's fair. Devy, C2C, I like hearing names that guys haven't talked about before, and I think all of these guys are guys that we have not talked about on this show here. And I'll continue that trend here with this Wake Forest wide receiver, A.T. Perry. So at this point, everyone knows Jakari Roberson with Wake Forest. If you have him, you're probably starting him. I think we thought it was going to be Donovan Green there, and he went down with the injury early in the season or before the season started. A.T. Perry is playing just as well as Jakari Roberson. Third-year sophomore, 6'5", 206 pounds. Not just a jump ball guy. He's a possession guy, but not just a jump ball guy. He's averaging 19 yards a catch. He has essentially just as many yards as Roberson on 7 less catches and has 2 more touchdowns. I think moving forward, I want to be attached to Sam Hartman in C2C leagues. Give me Sam Hartman's guys, and he's throwing the ball deep to A.T. Perry. A.T. Perry in his last 3 games has had 7 catches for 116 yards, 6 catches for 146 yards, 3 catches for 137 yards. He is balling with Sam Hartman, and maybe Sam Hartman spreads it out to Green and Roberson and Perry next year, but this is a C2C guy. This is a guy who's probably not rostered in your leagues unless he was picked up on waivers. But even in waivers, you probably weren't prioritizing a guy like this. In college fantasy, someone who's going to be free or essentially free and could put up real stats for you. If you're starting Jakari, you can start both of these guys and be absolutely dominating the college side of your C2C leagues. Even this weekend, Wake Forest plays North Carolina. Last year, that game was absolutely crazy. So look out for A.T. Perry to ball out, and consider taking him. And if you're in a supplemental draft, take him with your 14th, 15th pick. If you're in a startup draft, take him after round 40. Draft this guy, and then put him in your starting lineup. So I like A.T. Perry, and plus he's got the size and he's got athleticism. So I like those big guys. All right, who you got, Austin?
So, did you hear that thing about the UNC Wake Forest game this weekend is considered a non-conference game?
Yeah,
you guys
it's
see
because
that?
they scheduled it as a home and home thing, so it doesn't count. So even if Wake Forest loses to North Carolina this week, they're still undefeated in conference, which means they'll get a chance to go to the ACC and play for a championship, even though North Carolina is clearly in their conference. Yeah.
They scheduled it like 6 years ago. Yeah, just
Yeah.
weird. I saw that today. I thought that was really interesting. So let's I wrote down like 10 names. I'm not like, so I'm gonna group a couple of them together here. I have an Ohio State duo and an LSU duo that are all true freshmen that I just think have been, again, out of sight, out of mind for most of the year. Marvin Harrison is going to still be a big name going into the offseason, but I think I'm still going to be attacking him pretty hard. His teammate Evan Pryor is a guy that I really want a lot, though. A guy that was a top 5 running back for me just purely before, like I rank all these guys before they even go into spring. And then I started adjusting based on what depth charts looking like, who's making noise, who blew out their knee. Like I started adjusting these things based on all that. And Evan Pryor going into spring last year was my RB4 in the class. I thought he was a really good player. I just said, it sucks that he's stuck behind Travion Henderson and whoever the hell else they have there. But Master Teague has proven to be nothing. Like, it wouldn't shock me if Mayan Williams leaves just to go get his own job somewhere else. Felix and I talking about this a couple weeks ago, and he said Cincinnati, where he's from. I think that would be like a match made in heaven if Jerome Ford leaves. So I think there's a scenario where either Evan Pryor is the RB2 there, which is great for his value, or it doesn't happen and he probably leaves. And I think that's great for his value because I think by the time this offseason rolls around, he'll be like 205-ish. He's already getting close to there. He's an all-purpose back, very good pass catcher. Flashed a little bit in not their Penn State game, the game before that, Indiana, I believe it was, and looked pretty solid. So he's a guy that I think I'm targeting quite heavily. And then the wide receiver duo at LSU of Deion Smith and Chris Hilton are just two guys that have been banged up a little bit, haven't been playing a ton, and obviously that whole situation is in flux. But LSU does not bring in a ton of big wide receiver names in this upcoming class, at least from what I've seen, unless some guys flip here late. And they're just both really good players. Like I really like Deion Smith. I really like Chris Hilton. I think they're both like stylistically fit really well together out there. I think, again, they're going to be cheap because they're not playing right now, or at least cheaper than they should be. Like I don't think they're significantly worse than this is going to be such a fucking hot take. I don't think they're like significantly worse than Xavier Worthy, for instance, who's been great this year for Texas. Xavier Worthy is going to go round 1 or round 2, and you can get these guys in like round 6, round 7. And I think there's a chance that they put up similar production as he does over the next couple of years. Felix, you're muted.
I said I like it, and I was just tossing it to Matt. Matt, who's your next guy?
So this guy has been talked about. I know at least once on here. I don't think more than that by me. He's currently sitting top 10 in yards at the running back position. He is top 20 in yards for 10 plus yards. He is top 15 in yards for more than 15 yards a run, and he is also top 10 in missed forced tackles. He is also top, I was just trying to look at it right here, top 20 in receiving yards for a running back as well. It's Rasheen Ali out of Marshall.
Wow.
Who are you going to guess?
It kind of sounded like you were describing Keaton Mitchell.
Oh, no. I thought about putting him on here, though, too.
Long runs.
Yeah.
I thought about putting him on here, too. But I didn't.
Yeah, I thought about Mitchell, but then I went Ali because I know I've talked a little bit about him before. I think Moxley was like the very first person who talked about him. He brought him up. I think this kid is really good. We talked a lot about him recently on the tailgate. Fact that we think he might even have some NFL upside. I think he's got at least 2 years of really high college end production, which means I think he could be a Devy asset as well. Because I think Marshall's going to lean on him a lot like they have this year. And the fact that there we go. That's what I'm talking about. And the fact that he can do it as good in the receiving game, and he does special team stuff. Now, granted, his special teams touchdown was a little bit of a trick play, but still, he's used all over the field. I think Ali is going to be a really good player and a guy that not a lot of people are talking about that I would love to have on as many rosters as I can going into 2022.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the top CFF guys right now, but do you think he could be an NFL guy?
I do, yeah. I wasn't 100% sold on it until Austin and Moxley both said that they did. I try to be a little bit hesitant when it comes to that stuff, but both of them said they think so. And yeah, I mean, I get it. I like my guys, and so I tend to go a little overboard sometimes. So I'm trying to rein myself in a little bit.
He's one of the guys that I wish that, in a lot of these C2C leagues, you either have no claims or like two, and he's just not a guy. Like, you got two claims, you can't prioritize everybody, and I wish I had him in other spots. My next guy is Jelani Woods. Jelani Woods is the tight end, quote unquote tight end there at Virginia, playing with Brennan Armstrong. That offense is putting up a lot of points, and Jelani Woods has a lot to do with it. The transfer from Oklahoma State. There are only 2 games where he has not scored. Putting up a very productive tight end season. Now, he is an older prospect, spent 3 years at Oklahoma State. This is his first year at Virginia. If he does not come out, he could be a cheat code at tight end. I think he's 6'7", 275. He is what we want Darnell Washington to be, what people want Darnell Washington to be. I just added him in a C2C league because I needed a tight end. It seems like more than last year. There are some tight ends who are putting up, really dominant numbers from Michael Mayer is one. That tight end from Rice, who was playing running back and wide, who had all the eligibility. Myers, Jelani Woods, but Jelani Woods might be an NFL tight end. He might be an NFL tight end. So if he stays one more year, he's going to be somebody I'm gravitating towards. And if he just makes the jump to the NFL and is drafted in the 4th, 5th round somewhere, he's going to be somebody that I take, just like Tommy Tremble last year. Somebody that I gravitate towards, put him on a NFL roster at 6'7", 275. He has the size to be a red zone guy, but you see him at Virginia, he's doing more than that. I wish that he would have started at Virginia to be used in that offense, but he's putting up a very good season, and he could potentially make the jump to the NFL, or he could be used on the college side of your C2Cs next year.
That dude sounds like they're going to turn him into a left tackle a la Jason Peters or something. I mean, if he, it's too bad because he catches like almost too well to try to that experiment. Like as soon as he goes into the NFL, it might be too late if the first one doesn't work out for him. How about, so here's a name that actually I've been like all week. I've been like at stash time in my C2Cs. If I have leagues that have like unlimited waiver claims, like I'm starting to clear out my bench of guys that I'm never going to use anymore, stashing all these guys. And I went through a bunch of them this week, and I have this guy on all my watch list, and I was like, I think I can wait like 1 or 2 more weeks till I pick this guy up. And of course, he's going absolutely bonkers tonight with like 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. Trayvon Rudolph, a freshman wide receiver at NIU. He's going to be probably the main guy there next year. Tyrese Ritchie is their main guy this year. I believe he's a senior, and I know the eligibility is weird right now. So he might have another year. I honestly don't know, but Rudolph, he was a freshman All-American last year, and that year didn't count for him. And this year, he's 5'10", 182, so he's not like this super, crazy athletic guy, but he can contribute on special teams. He's got pretty nice hands. He works deep. I think he can do some underneath stuff as well. He's never going to be, a day 1, probably even day 2 pick, but he's just a guy that I think can get drafted and is going to put up big numbers there in the MAC. So I think he's a guy that I am going like, how Corey Rucker was this year, maybe for teams. I think that's how we should view this kid going into this offseason.
This is why I love doing this show, because you stumped me with that. I have not heard that name before. And yeah, he did have an excellent freshman season. So yes, a player that I'm gonna go look up and look and see if I can find some of his tape. All right, Matt Bruning. Trayvon Rudolph. That's an excellent pull there, Austin. All right, go ahead, Matt.
All right, so I'm going to stick in the MAC and talk about a player that I tweeted about recently, and that is true freshman running back Carson Steele out of Ball State. He is getting a little bit more carries than Will Jones, but he is splitting the backfield with him, 6'1", 215, so he's got decent size. I think he's got pretty decent speed as well, and he's sitting top 30 in everything that I care about. That's missed forced tackles, 10 runs over 10 yards, runs over 15 yards. And again, while splitting carries, he has less carries than a guy like Chase Brown at Illinois, he has 111 carries on the season altogether right now. And it's because he's splitting time with Will Jones. You also have Drew Plitt there as well, quarterback who runs a lot. I think with Plitt, who I believe is excuse me, senior, who will be gone, as will Will Jones. Carson Steele, I think, is going to get a ton of the work next year. He doesn't do a lot in the receiving game, so you are going to have to rely on him doing a lot of that on the ground. But I think he is a very good running back. 3% rostered on Fantrax right now as well, so nobody is rostering this guy. Nobody's talking about him. With him getting likely the full slate of that offense next year, with as good as he is, I think he could be a top 30-ish scoring running back and a guy that literally like nobody has and nobody has talked about. I think he's going to be a guy this time next year we're going to be talking about. Maybe not an NFL future, but as a CFF guy who's putting up a lot of points like a Rasheen Ali this season.
Yeah, this is why you come to the Devy debate, is to get these names. I mean, you guys are dropping some gems here. Coming back to me now, we did this segment last season around this time. We called them 2022 breakouts. And I think one of the first names I mentioned was Jashaun Corbin, the Texas A&M transfer to Florida State. And he has broken out this season. He can make the jump to the NFL and be, a late day 2, early day 3 pick, especially in a weaker running back class. I think that his backup is very good, Trayshawn Ward. Now, a lot of people know the name Lawrence Tuafili, who was they had a very good freshman season. Ward has surpassed Tuafili on the depth chart, and he's a smaller player, but he's had some explosive runs this season, and he adds the pass catching dynamic. I think he has 14 catches, which is a lot in a reserve role. If Jashaun Corbin makes the jump to the NFL, then Ward could take over the starting role, and he possesses an all-purpose skill set. Let's see. He's only had a high of 12 carries this year and then 10 after that, but he's averaging 7.1 yards a carry. He's had runs of 60, 65, 22, 21, 23 yards. And just, again, this is a guy who's been used in a reserved role. Florida State is going through changes, and I just think that all of us have identified players that you could take in the 40th round of C2Cs. This is absolutely one, and because he has that pass-catching skill set, you may be able to draft him, and then he becomes a centerpiece or a large part of that Florida State offense next year, and he could be a starter for you. I like Trayshawn Ward, and we don't even have him available to rank at campus2canton.com, and he's surpassed Lawrence Tuafili, who we do have available to rank. And I'm not sure why Austin is playing defense on me being able to get Ward in the rankings, but I won't bring that up on our show today. So,
have you checked your ranking sheet recently, Felix?
Did you do it in the last hour or so? Okay.
You asked me 2 hours ago. When did you want me to do it?
In preparation of today's show.
I'm sitting here trying to watch these incoming freshmen. I feel like, can you add this guy? Can you add this guy? I'm 3 weeks behind on this chat. Can you add this guy for me? Just trying to do stuff over here.
All right, Austin, give us another one of your guys.
How about Tavion Thomas? I think is somebody that I just don't really hear people talking enough about. You always really want the Utah RB1, at least for like college fantasy purposes. That's a guy that's been pretty darn productive over the past few years. Unfortunately, it would have been Ty Jordan, but we know, unfortunately, his passing this past offseason left it wide open. There were a lot of candidates. It was kind of like Oklahoma State's backfield. We're like, whoever gets this backfield is going to be great. We just have no effing clue who it was. It ended up being Jalen Warren. And so we said the same thing with Utah. They had TJ Pledger there, Chris Curry, Micah Bernard. They brought in Ricky Parks as a true freshman, and then kind of lost in the shuffle was Tavion Thomas, who started as a freshman in 2018 at Cincinnati and was there for 2 years, ultimately left to JUCO. I thought we would never hear from him again. Resurfaces this year and took that job. He had it week 1. They played Weber State. He went 12 for 107 and 2. Week 2, he fumbled. I think it was his second fumble of the year. He might have gotten the first one back, and the second one he lost. Coaches benched him for a couple weeks. He had 7 carries that week that he fumbled against BYU, then 1 carry each of the next 2 games. I think the coaching staff said, we want you back out there, but you got to fix this problem. It's seemingly he has the past 4 weeks. 16 for 113 and 1, 20 for 84 and 1, 21 for 74 and 2, and 24 for 160 and 4 touchdowns. He's 6 foot 220. I don't know if he will ever really touch the NFL, but he's just a guy that I like, and he has more eligibility. So I think, if he stays at Utah, there's nobody like he will be the guy day one next year. There is no debate about it. Utah's not going to switch that guy. So I would feel fairly comfortable projecting him to do that. I think, again, he's going to be another guy. You get him around, 10, 15, 20, like that range.
There were a lot of names in that Utah backfield, and one has finally emerged as kind of the guy. Matt Bruning, anybody else that you want to identify before we close it out here? We'll give you the last word on a guy.
Oh man, I've got 3 guys. I've got to limit this to
bunch
one.
them all together.
Yeah,
good.
I'll just do one guy really quick and then group the last 2 because they're both quarterbacks. Luke Grimm, wide receiver out of Kansas, sophomore. He may be a redshirt freshman. I don't really know how any of that stuff works. But he had a good season last year as a freshman for Kansas. Came in over Jarek's little magic line on the Dominator rating. I was trying to pull up some of his other stuff, but I'll just kind of skip forward to my next 2. But look out for him. He's a really good player. Mostly plays in the slot, though. He's 6 foot, 188. I think he really could be good for Kansas. The other 2, I've got to go back to my roots a little bit here, right? Like, it wouldn't be a Devy debate show if I didn't in some way talk about Ohio State. But I'm going to group 2 guys together, Kyle McCord and Drew Aller. Like, I know it's 2022, but Drew Aller is going to be a freshman. I want to have him on as many teams as I can next year. I think he could be a Devy asset as well next year, depending on how deep your Devy drafts are. And then same thing, in all honesty, with Kyle McCord. Me and Colin talked a lot about him yesterday when he came on the Devy Wire with me and we talked quarterbacks. I still believe he's got a ton of NFL upside. He's going to transfer somewhere next year. I don't know that people would be willing to get rid of him. A lot of people still want to hold him. I honestly only have him on one of my 16 C2C rosters, but if I could get him this offseason, I don't care where he goes. I really do think he's going to have an amazing season next year. So those 2 quarterbacks are guys that I would target heavily next offseason to try and get.
And McCord is actually relatively cheap right now, guys. Just we're in the program together.
Except for Proton, who will not give them to me.
I was trying to upgrade like my starters, and I was floating McCord out there, and people didn't want him. So
hey,
I don't know
Austin,
what the hell was going on there. You were never going to give me what I wanted.
What'd you want?
Well, you're trying to win. It's a whole other discussion for a whole other thing. But so I think he's cheaper than people think he is. I think he's kind of already forgotten, which is unfortunate. Fortunate if you're buying.
Dak Nipple, which is a phenomenal name to begin with. I don't think you're necessarily wrong.
I'm going to throw out one more name out here. Tyler Algier, I think, is going to make the jump to the NFL. Lapini Katoa is kind of the lightning to his thunder. Jackson McChesney. Jackson McChesney is a deep name who I think almost broke the freshman rushing record at BYU, had been injured and is healthy, but is buried on that depth chart. If we want to get some RB1 production coming out of nowhere, it could be Jackson McChesney. And you know how those BYU players are. He's taking a mission too. He could be, physically developed, essentially an adult, but he's a good player with an all-purpose skill set, has prototypical size. So I like me some Jackson McChesney. But that is going to be our show for tonight. Of course, catch all of the Campus to Canton content around. Catch the Campus to Canton podcast channel. Our apologies to Kirk Herbstreit. We went too long with talking about these guys who we want to get in 2022. And Matt and Austin went too long on that boring college football playoff conversation. So apologies to Kirk Herbstreit. We'll get him rescheduled soon. For Matt Bruning and Austin Nace, I'm Felix Sharp. Good night and good luck.
Jackson McChesney is a country singer, and you cannot tell me otherwise.
Did I say the right name?
That's what you said. I don't know. I actually don't know who that is. So
you don't know Jackson McChesney?
What do you want for him? You could have had Hall. I just moved Hall. And I'm not proud of it.
So really I needed another quarterback in that league. Did you see my quarterback situation this week?
Have you seen my quarterbacks? I would have given you someone. I'd have given you Michael Pratt, Grant Wells, whoever you wanted. I have more than enough quarterbacks.
I do too. They're just all on bye this week. And I was trying to trade with someone. I inquired about Max Johnson. The guy's like, yeah, JSN for Max Johnson straight up. I was like, I would rather shoot myself in the head with a nail gun than do that. And PJ was nickel and diming me out here like a douche. He's gonna watch this later, so I figured I'd throw that out there. I did a cheap trade for Chase Garbers with Kane.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
So, but yeah, I was offering Rattler and McCord.
Well, let's
come and get them, boys.
Let's figure out something for McCord. Let's figure out something to record. I'm not gonna start him. You're not gonna start him, so we can still make the move.
Yeah, we can still make a trade. I'm happy.
Yeah, I don't love my trades today. I think I let the trade deadline go to my head. I felt like I needed to make moves.
I'll trade McCord to you straight up for Drew Aller. Put your money where your mouth is. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I just said Aller might be better than yours, so I can't.
I don't think he is, but
I can't do that.
Hey, good names, guys. Pulling up those names. You guys are pulling up guys that I not heard of. So.
It's the unfortunate part about doing this show is anytime you drop a name, now everybody else is going to be like,
yeah.
That's what happened in the damn listener league this year.
Yeah, that sure did.
I was like, oh, cool. I'm at 8 rounds in. I'm like, cool. I'm punting this year. That's great. I figured that out already. It's a 45-round draft, and I just get to sit here in my own poop for the next 35 rounds. Great.
Well, I like how it's funny too that you say that because there are guys like your guy Clay Millen. Like I remember just going to look at one point, like round 16. I was like, I know I'm gonna have to take him before Austin, so I'm gonna take him now. Then I look at someone took him in like round 6. It's like, what the fuck is going on? What the hell?
Yeah.
That's how in that league I ended up like, this never works out. I don't know. Tell me if you guys think differently. You're in a draft and you have a guy that like usually goes in like round 9. And you're like, I would never take that guy in round 9. Like the earliest I would take the guy is like round 15. And then like round like 17 or 18 rolls around and they're still there. And you're like, oh, fuck it. Like, I guess I got to take this guy because like the value is just so good. Does that ever work out for you? Because I had to do that a bunch in that league and I got fucked on every single one of them.
No, I've gotten to the point where if it's guys that I really don't want, like who is it? I think it was in the listener league too, Demas. Because he kept falling and falling and falling. And I was like, I mean, someone's got to take him. We're in like the 20th round at this point. And I took him. Dude suspended. He's probably never going to play football.
I did the same thing with Brew McCoy.
He's suspended? He's suspended?
Yeah. I was looking the other day. I don't know if he's been suspended last game. I was looking on his thing and it showed he was suspended out for the game. I don't know why. I didn't do any research into it.
I accidentally took him in the GM league, and I've told this story before. And I was like, you know what? That's okay. And then I immediately regretted it, but I wasn't going to make a big deal of it.
Yeah. I did that with Brew McCoy in that league. I did it with Jake Smith. There was like 1 or 2 other guys. I was like, well, fuck it. Like, I got to take them. And none of them worked out.
My undroppables, the college side of my undroppables team has nothing but freshmen, essentially nothing but freshmen, but I am competing because one of those freshmen is Travion Henderson. The other is Xavier Worthy. That was a hard draft because, I mean, it's 16 teams, but I've got Sam Hartman and Tanner Mordecai, my starting quarterbacks. That works.
So in that league this week, I wish it was the first week of the playoffs because I have Khalil Pimpleton and Jack Sorensen.
What did Jack Sorensen put up?
54.
54? God damn.
Pimpleton's put up 34.5. I guess we don't get touchdowns for something. It has all 3 touchdowns. He only has 115 yards. Only.
Yeah, I know. I'm starting Pimpleton in that Thor Nystrom league.
But yeah, I'm just like I have McCaskill and Rivers, and like they might not even play, and I might just leave them in my lineup.
You might just
it
leave.
Really doesn't matter.
I beat somebody in Brandon Lejeune's Devy deep dive league. I've got the Stearns Zappy stack. And my team is other like I had Stearns and Zappy last week, and I had Tyler Algier. Tyler Algier had like 275 yards and 6 touchdowns.
I was gonna say, how did they put up like 180 between the 3 of them? Like,
between the 3 of them. My score, I had like 300 points in that league. And I'm always beating the league. They in that league they do it where you play 3 games a week. You play against the league average, and you play against 2 opponents.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, it's so that there's less luck involved, which, quite frankly, sometimes I need that. But I've got. Let me see how many. I've got 7. I'm 600 points against ahead of the next highest ranked team.
Sweet Jesus! And you're gonna lose in the first round of the playoffs.
I'm gonna lose in the first. Hopefully, I get a bye. But Roberson, Stearns, and Tolbert were my wide receivers last week. I got Nathaniel Dell on this team. Jameson Williams. I mean,
and you and Jameson Williams, you probably have him pretty much everywhere, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if one of these guys who was free, I love those types of players.
Yeah.
Next year it'll be Jackson McChesney. I'll take Jackson McChesney in the 45th round of all of these leagues.
Let me know when your first draft is going to be, because Colin and I will talk about him on the C2C pod perfectly that week just to fuck you over. I would take this guy in like round 8. I don't know about you, Colin. But...
Yeah, I agree with you there. That's Colin's. Who do I like? Xavier. I can't believe how bad Xavier Betts has been. That whole wide receiver core, except for Torre.
I mean, it's Adrian Martinez throwing the passes. I think that's the thing we always forget about some of these guys. It's like
Jermaine Burton has been terrible. Jermaine Burton has been absolutely.
He's also been out for the past 3 or 4 weeks.
He's still been terrible.
Yes, I mean he's been very underwhelming.
So how far have you moved Graves up?
He's been my wide receiver 4 for months. He's still my wide receiver 4. I like my running back rankings are like awesome right now, in my opinion. Like I've got them nailed down right where I want them. I got like 50 something guys, plus like a bunch of others that I've already watched and just think they suck, and I didn't want anything to do with them. And so I like now like these wide receivers, like I feel like I've watched like 2 here, 1 here, 3 here. So like I never had like a binge session where like 2 weeks I just watched a ton of them. So you kind of lose in your mind like, how am I like comparing these guys to each other? So I literally have to watch every wide receiver over again. So I kind of started at the top of my board and I'm working my way down. But I was just watching Graves before this and I was like, God damn, I forgot how good I don't even know how is Kion.
I have no idea how to say it. Yeah, I don't know.
But he's good. I have him above Burton. I mean, Burton's my wide receiver 5, so they're right beside each other. But I have those two guys like neck and neck. And they're good players.
Yeah, I'm curious because, like, I know Burton was like from the people I've talked to at Ohio State, they really like him. Like, they think he's going to be amazing. But
have you seen at all his stuff this year since he didn't play last year?
No, I haven't.
I haven't.
Like I said, I haven't had a chance to go in and watch any. I just haven't had time, man. Like I was talking to somebody about that today. This stuff is just so much work. I mean, I record. The only day I don't do a podcast is Thursday now, and Sundays. Thursdays and Sundays, but Thursdays I work on the overlays for Tailgate. No, I just never have time. Together. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah, like I used to watch them, because I go sit. I was actually talking to Jared on the phone earlier. Like I go and sit for like an hour waiting to pick my kids up because I got to get in the car line. If I'm not there early enough, it takes fucking forever to pick them up. So I get there early, and I used to watch on my phone. I had my little notebook, and I would take notes on everybody. And recently, I've just been taking a nap because I'm so tired from work and everything that I just go in my car and I'm like, nah, fuck it. I'm taking a 40-minute nap and just getting up. But then as soon as I come home, most days it's right onto round table. Then I have something that night I have to do, whether it's a program, jumping on somebody else's thing, doing Devy wire. I got this on Wednesdays. So it's just kind of like everything gets pushed aside. I don't have time for anything.
I think we're going to give you a mandatory month that you have to take like in May. No, like after the draft's over, after some of the other off-season stuff we have planned. No, we're just going to not let you on the show. We're not going to let you on any of our shit. We're not going to publish anything you write, so don't give us anything. We're going to make you go away for a month.
That's all right. You'll need me for the YouTube stuff. So I don't like taking time off, but I'm like, I won't lie. I've already been thinking about that. That's probably bad because we're almost to the end of the college season. We still got a long way to go for the NFL season. I was talking to Paul on the phone today. I was like, fuck, I can't wait for the off season. Just to go back to 3 shows a week. It's going to be so nice. Just so much time. So that's when I do most of my stuff because I do Mondays. We do this Wednesday night, and then we have our Thursday show for Roundtable. We try and keep them both to like an hour on those days. So then like all day Tuesday, pretty much as soon as I get home Wednesday and Friday is just time for, and that's when I dive into everything. I'll make little notes here and there. I don't get to go full. Like I think I've done like full on, I would be comfortable writing reports on 20 quarterbacks, and I think 28 running backs for the 2022 class, but only like 10 wide receivers. Like I haven't really dove into wide receiver that much. So
yeah, and like the wide receiver class is just not very good too, which like does like I want to keep watching these running backs. Although I had to ask you to watch a couple names because I watched a couple running backs yesterday, and I was like, This is a fucking wide receiver. There's no way this guy's a running back. So I'm gonna have to toss you a couple of these names and see what you think. The one kid's going to Pitt, so I was watching him. I was like, this dude's not good. But so like, yeah, I mean, I just don't like this wide receiver class at all. Yeah. Like it's just
No, I'm with you.
boring.
I'm trying to remember. I'm gonna pull on my notes because, like, obviously DJ, but you like DJ as well.
Mhm.
I still like CJ Williams. I do. Then Graves, Burton, and there was two other ones. Shetron, but that was the guy that you talked about. Where are my notes at here? Oh man.
Have you watched Amari Niblack, by the way? I watched him today for the first time.
That sounds familiar.
He's
But that
listed as
also
an
may be
athlete.
because he committed on the program at some point and I had to type his name in. So
Yeah, he did it like this past week. Alfred got him. He's
Okay,
like
then
he's
okay,
like
yeah.
6'4", 220, and Alfred's really about him. And I do think like he looks good, but if he switches to tight end, I think I don't think that's the thing for him.
Gotcha.
But that's what I'm hearing is they're gonna try to flip him to tight end. I think he's a wide receiver.
So yeah, I have Grays as my wide receiver too, and then Burton, Shetron, Williams, and then I really like Evan Stewart as well. Those are
I
kind of
have
like
Stewart
my
as
top
a
guys.
tier 1 guy, but he's
Yeah,
he's borderline.
Let me see. I think I have him as top of tier 2. The only ones I have, but again, I know I like Williams more than you. I have Allen, Grays, Burton, Shetron, and Williams as my tier 1 right now. And then Stewart is the top of tier 2 with Preston and Saunders. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Saunders a lot too.
But again, like I've only watched 15 of them. So I'm like, and they may move around once I get more. I obviously want to. I don't know how many for sure I'm going to try and get to, but I might do a lot of it over Thanksgiving because we don't have any family coming in town. And I think I'll leave from work. Which guess that's only in a couple of weeks. I usually get to leave that Wednesday at like 10 o'clock in the morning and go home. And then it's just nothing because my wife still has to work. So it'll be one of those things where I get to just sit around all day. And I don't know if there won't be any bowl games on yet because that'll be the last week of the college football season. So, yeah. And then I might use that Saturday too because what's the Saturday after? That's an Army-Navy game, I think, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
I do not know, actually.
Oh, I think do they do the championship games that weekend?
Yeah, they might yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out. Because that was, and I know. Oh, I think he said he went to go get food, right? Yeah, there might be 1 week that I might have to skip out on doing the show. The late show, coast to coast. That week of, which sucks because it's the week of, is it the week of Halloween? Not Halloween, I'm sorry, Thanksgiving. Where obviously Ohio State and Michigan play each other.
Go Michigan.
Ohio State's going to beat that ass. Oh, Ray said today he thinks Michigan's going to win. I was talking to him about it earlier, so we'll see what happens.
It's just a bet. I think there's a decent amount of talent in college football this year, but I just don't think there's any really good teams except for Georgia.
No, I agree. Well, see, that's the thing. I don't even know that their defense is elite, but their offense is not good.
Well,
And
their
I
offense
really
has also
don't
been
know.
missing a ton of dudes. They're all supposed to be
True,
coming
but
back now, so I'm
I don't know.
curious
Well,
to see.
I mean, Pickens won't be back. But I just don't know how much JT Daniels raises this offense. Like, that was the whole point of my tweet. Like, I don't think he's better. He's better than Stetson Bennett, but I don't know how much more he raises the floor of that offense than Stetson Bennett does. That's my thing. I think if they, because I was, yeah, I think it was Ray who was talking about, like, he was talking about he would love the national championship to be Georgia versus Ohio State because he thinks that's the best offense versus the best defense. And I know it sounds like homerism, but I think Ohio State could win that because I think they could do enough to win. And even though that defense is not good, I don't know that Georgia's offense would challenge that defense that much. Now, maybe if Pickens comes back and is healthy and good to go, he could, because I don't know that they could really slow him down. But outside of that, I think they put Burks probably on Bowers. I mean, he had a bad game against Dotson in the second half, but he shut Dotson down for the whole first half. Like, I think that would be a really good game, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I don't think Alabama beats them. So
Alabama beats Georgia?
Yeah.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I don't think so either. I think they're going to give Bryce Young a hard time in that game. I think that'll be like, the big wake up game for like a real defense for Bryce Young. And he
Yeah.
kind of
So that's why, my goodness. That's why I'm also hoping Oregon loses, because if Oregon loses, Ohio State wins out, Oklahoma wins out, Cincinnati wins out, I think it could end up being Georgia, Ohio State, Cincinnati, Oklahoma. And I would love that, just for the fact of you would get that defense versus Caleb Williams, that Oklahoma offense, and then who I think Georgia would beat Oklahoma, and then you would get Georgia. I assume Ohio State would beat Cincinnati, and then you get Georgia, Ohio State. I think that would be like two of the best games you would see in the playoffs and the national championship. I'd love. I don't even care if Georgia would win. I think that would be two great games where if Alabama makes it in, I don't think that game's going to be exciting. They're going to probably beat whoever comes in at 3, unless it's Ohio State, which I think could be a good game. But then whoever is coming in at 4, even if it's Cincinnati, that's the thing. I think the only reason I think that would be a good game is because I don't think either one of those offenses is going to do anything, and both those defenses are going to be good enough. Like Georgia's defense will stymie Ritter, but I think their defense will be good enough to slow down Daniels enough that it's going to end up being like a 17-7 game or some shit. It's just going to be boring.
Georgia just wears you down, man. Like they're just they don't have to blitz to get pressure. Like they're athletic as fuck on the back end. I don't know. I mean, I don't think
they're
like
ridiculous. Yeah.
They're definitely like I don't think they're the best college defense I've watched in the past decade. I don't think, but they're definitely close. Like they're definitely a really good team. I don't know. But.
No, I agree with you. It's I don't know. I'm excited, but like that's the thing. You say that, and it makes me think. I hate to say, I don't know that Ohio State would. I guess maybe stand a chance, because that offensive line has not been good. When they've like Penn State's front, I don't think is. I think they're easily a step down from Georgia's, and they gave them a ton of issues. I mean, I know Stroud had a good game, but it wasn't a great game. And then you talk about that secondary. I think they'd be able to lock up Olave, Wilson, and JSN for the most part. So then you're trying to rely on Travion Henderson to run against that defense, which I don't think he's going to be able to do either. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I hope. They've got to win out, though.
This Rudolph kid has over 300 yards tonight now.
I just saw Jared tweeted something about him. CFF Jared. Jeez.
That's so annoying because I was so close. Like I played that game of chicken this week. I was like, I think I can wait another week or two on this kid. I picked up a lot of like Javon Ducker this week, a lot of Gavin Wimsatt, a lot of. I mean, I've been picking up Carson Steele, so I think I have him most places now. But like, I just kind of do that. Like every week, there's like a guy or two that I target, and I just put claims in everywhere.
I don't understand what's so bad about that trade.
Which trade?
The trade I made for Zeke, where I gave up Hall.
Wait, you did what?
I gave up Hall for Zeke.
Brees Hall?
No, Ajayi Hall.
Oh, for Ezekiel Elliott?
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think you won that trade, at least for now. I mean,
I've got so many good wide receivers that I was just kind of like, when he came to me first, he's like, I want Mecca, Hall, and something else. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Who was this?
Zeke. Whoever took over for Brandon's team. I don't know.
Oh, D-Lip.
It's D-Lip, yeah. I don't know what his actual name is, but yeah, D-Lip.
Yeah, he's the one that wanted JSN for Max Johnson. I was like, nope.
Yeah, he was like, I'll take those two and something. I was like, no, thank you. I'll pass. But like, I don't know, because PJ was giving me shit. Was like, I never said I was not trying in the NFL side, but I had a chance to get London, Olave, Ford, who I think helps my team this year, because I need running, especially with Alton. I don't know what's going to happen with McCaskill. He's been a starting running back for me every single week. With him possibly not playing, it's like I need a running back.
Has Ford really been doing that well?
I don't know what he's been putting up points recently. He's got a lot of it's because of his receiving work on top of his rushing yards. I don't know where he sits on like the actual overall. He's averaging like 17 points a game.
Yeah, I guess the last 4 in 33, 10, 25. 20.
Yeah, his carries have gone up, and he's actually been getting a lot of receiving yards, and that's all I care about. Like, I just need someone who's going to, especially like if McCaskill comes back, whatever. McCaskill's going back in my lineup next week, but I couldn't take the chance if he misses the game because I don't know. Boz's team is not great, but all it takes is one good week and you get beat. Look at PJ's team. I don't think his team's that good, but he beat me. So
So here, I want to ask you, like, have you watched any McCaskill at all yet this season, really, or kind of just like, okay,
I haven't. No,
he like I've been Team McCaskill for a long time. I thought he was going to severely outplay his composite ranking, which is like 30 something. He's getting a shit ton of touchdown luck. Like, I don't think he's necessarily as good as people. Like, people are putting him as like a top 5 guy in the class right now, and like I don't think he's there. But then I've seen these two midseason C2C startups that people are doing, and he's not like, I see him in rankings, but people aren't taking, like, they're taking him later than that. So I like, there's a disconnect between where people are ranking, where people are drafting right now. I'm interested to see what that looks like come like March, April.
I think it'll change some. I think a lot of it's just because of how good he's been doing. I really think that's what it is. Like, it's we were talking about someone the other day, and I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about how, like, this dude's going to be a really good running back. And I was just like, I mean, he's doing good on college. I wish I could remember who it was that I saw them talking about now, and I can't remember. But yeah, I think it's because he's been doing so well. I think that'll change, but I don't know. I mean, he's 2023. Wait, yeah, 2024 class.
He's 24 class, yeah.
So I mean, realistically, outside of Henderson, who's been doing great, so maybe that's
Shipley.
one of the things. Well, yeah, but Shipley was already ahead of. Where did I go? There we go. He was already ahead of him, so I was trying to pull up the freshman here.
I mean, it depends on how you value, like, in a C2C, you know, the college production, like how much of a tiebreaker you use that on. But like, I think Devin Neal's a better back than him. Like, I think Raheem Sanders is a better back than him.
Oh wow, I didn't realize Keaton Mitchell's been doing that good.
That's why when you were like saying all these like weird stats that were like super explosive, I was like, he's talking about Keaton Mitchell. Like,
so he's up there with him at almost all of them. And that's what I was like, I didn't know because we just added him to the rankings. I assumed other people were talking about it. So I was like, I'll just go with it. I know people are talking about Ali, but I really like Ali. Like, he's become one of my favorite players. But yeah, I didn't realize he was doing, but I mean, he's doing better than, you know, like Brandon Thomas, who was getting all that love earlier. You've got, I mean, I didn't realize Carson Steele was doing that good as well either. I mean, he's above Braylon Allen. So, I mean, he's right behind Will Shipley right now. So that's probably why. I mean, Sean Tucker, Ali, and Henderson are the top 3 right now in the class, right? Points-wise for fantasy. So that's probably what they're looking at because they're like, oh, man, like he's doing so good. He's got to be top 5, although just looking at this list right here, but I'd take Tucker. I'd probably take Ali over him, Jahmyr Gibbs, Will Shipley.
Oh, wait. Some of those guys are not freshmen.
No?
Tucker's a year 2 guy. I think Ali's technically a year 2 guy too.
He is, but he's listed as a redshirt freshman. Yeah, he's a redshirt freshman. Yeah, well, that's what I was just looking at fan tracked points right here, so maybe that's why.
Oh yeah, because like you can only filter by freshmen.
Yeah, by
like
freshmen. Yeah,
because they were like, it's been really funny actually. I've had 2 different discussions in 2 different places today. One on Twitter and one on the Devy or the Dynasty Movement Discord or whatever, that one that we did that AMA on. And both times, like, someone's been like, "Oh yeah, like that's a year 2 guy," and I was like, "No, that's a year 3 guy." And like then Jake the Snake, whatever Jake, I forget what his last name is coming to be like, "Oh no, yeah, he's year 3." I'm like, "Yeah, told you." Taj Washington was the one. And Lou Nichols. Someone was talking today about Lou Nichols is like a freshman.
He's listed.
Lou Nichols is 21 years old. He's not like, you have to actually look these things up. You can't just go on the website and assume whatever the team has him listed at is like the real eligibility.
Oops. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. So, but anyways, but Brandon Thomas, where did that go? Is he listed by? Oh, great! And now it's updating.
Brandon Thomas is a second-year guy, I believe. Right?
I think so. Yeah. I was trying to pull up where he was on the points thing, but now it's not working. But I imagine he's behind him because he sat that one game. But
you know who isn't being taught? Like, really don't talk. People aren't talking about. But I think like he is the Sean Tucker of his class. Like, he's gonna have a nice end to this year. People are gonna say he's just a college guy, and then he's gonna fucking crush again next year. That Malachi Thomas kid at Virginia Tech, he's gonna be that guy next year.
Yeah, when you guys mentioned him, because I made a note about it, and I thought about adding him, and I did. I knew I should have, but I didn't. I added Polk instead because I needed a wide receiver for the playoffs.
In
I
program?
thought about adding him. Yeah. Dude, I'm gonna be honest. I probably could have, I guess, maybe added him in PJ's league. I didn't use either one of my waiver ads because I hate the it has to be on certain weeks thing because I just never keep up. Like the only reason I remember yours is because you kept reminding us in the group me. I was like, oh fuck, I better go put it in right now. I don't ever get on Sleeper. Like I'm probably dropping all of my Sleeper leagues after this year because I don't ever get on it. I don't like it. I guess I'm one of the few who doesn't like it because everybody else seems to love it, but I don't. It's just I
You,
don't,
me,
I
and
don't
Kane. You and me and Kane are the trio that don't like it.
Yeah,
That's
I just
where
nothing against it. I mean, it's great. It's not. I don't have time to keep. Maybe it's because I've got like leagues on fucking every platform: Yahoo, ESPN, MFL, Flea, Flickr, and it's just I gotta limit my leagues down somehow.
yeah.
But yeah, I thought about adding him in the program, but then I was like, man, I really need a wide receiver. I'll just go Polk and hope. Did you add him with one of yours?
In this league, so in that league, I had two bids left, and I wanted to bolster my quarterback room, and Garrett Schrader was still available, so I took Schrader. And then, like, I've been rocking Jalen Weidermeyer in that league all year, which I don't hate at tight end, but like, I went out and got Derek Deese,
Gotcha.
who's been like really good the past few weeks.
Yeah, because you outbid me on Warren because I had no money. Because I used all of my money on Ali. So all of the hits I put in, I literally put all 100 on Ali after week one. I was like, that's the guy I want. And so I've been putting in the $0 bids. And so yeah, when I really thought I had him because I was gonna get him to play that week with against PJ because I had so many players on bye. And then I was going through and I saw the messages on Slack, and so I clicked on it. And then I saw that you got him. I was like, fuck. I was like, and I didn't put in any other bids because I didn't think anybody else would bid on him. So I didn't even get a player. I ended up having to start the 3 tight ends. And I was like, that was stupid on my part. I should have bid up multiple players, but
yeah, I rocking with Warren, baby. Shane, so I play Shane in this league. I think he's got some buy issues this week. I feel pretty good about that matchup. Now watch, my team's gonna absolutely shit the bed, but
did you see TCU who they're interviewing?
No, who?
Deion Sanders, Jay Norvell, and Tony Elliott. It's interesting.
Which one's Tony Elliott?
Offensive coordinator for Clemson.
That's what I thought, because I was like, is that Jim? Is that which one stayed? Is that Scott or was it Elliott?
Wow, if
it's Elliott. Hires him.
I know. There goes there goes my love for DJ Allen.
I wouldn't hire any of those 3.
Yeah. The other one, which I think would be a great hire, but I don't think he's going to college, is Kellen Moore.
Yeah, that's such a step down.
The offensive coordinator for Cowboys. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think he will now.
I also don't think he would go to TCU just because, like, back when he was at Boise, like, those two teams did not like each other. I think that he played there when they were both still in the Mountain West together, I think.
Yeah.
So they definitely, like, I could not see him.
Yeah.
Dude, why the fuck would you hire Deion Sanders?
I don't know.
Like, maybe the only reason he's doing well is because he can get flashy names for FCS or whatever at a not a good school. Like, he's going to go to a big school and he's not going to be able to recruit like that anymore because nobody at that level gives a fuck. Like, it's cool when you're like a D2 kid and Deion Sanders comes to your house. When you're like fucking, a 5-star kid, like Deion Sanders doesn't mean anything. Oh, damn.
I didn't realize you had Josh Downs. That's nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was looking at his team. Yeah, I mean, him having Hayner and Zappy's good, but
yeah, I'm scared of Zappy Stearns because he has them both.
And fucking Cole Turner, God, asshole.
Is he the one who got him today?
Yeah, I had a trade for him, and then like I get it, but we had a trade like already set. I sent him a trade, and then he sent me a counter, and I was driving, so I didn't get a chance. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And after I sent him that, he's like, oh, I just accepted another offer because you didn't respond. I was like, dude, you sent me that 2 minutes ago. I was on the fucking road. I was trying to wait to get to a fucking stoplight. So I didn't wreck. My kids are in the car. I was like, God, I need a tight end. I'm starting. I don't even remember. I'm starting that dude from Rice because it's either him or
Jordan
Xavier
Myers.
Gaines. Yeah, those are the only guys that I have at tight end. So.
Wait, do you play this week? You didn't get a bye?
No, because supposedly he won his matchup. Fantrax changed it like 2 days later. So I'm playing
I did
Boz.
see that.
I'm the 3 seed. Yeah. Which I don't care. I wanted a tight end when he put Cole Turner on the block. I was like, oh, okay, here you go. Nope. It was an overpay too. I was gonna give him Will Rogers and I don't know, it was a huge overpay, but he needs a quarterback. I was like, dude, I'll give you Will Rogers and whoever you want. He wanted Lorenzo Styles, and I was like, done deal.
Oh, that's why you were asking that.
Yeah, because I was I don't really know what to think about him. So
freshman wide receiver at Notre Dame, where famously freshman wide receivers don't do anything. Like that's nice, but like I don't know what the ceiling is there.
Well, yeah, I mean, my thing was I didn't want to give up Rodgers because my quarterbacks are going to not be great once Malik Willis and Desmond Ridder leave, at least with the way they score for me. And Rodgers is top 15. That's what I was telling him. I was like, but I'll be willing to do it because I also think Cole Turner gives me a chance to win this year, and he's got some NFL upside. I have no NFL tight ends either. I was like, my NFL tight end I'm starting every week is Harrison Bryant. I have him and Chris Herndon. That's it. So it's like, I'll take it because it also gives me some NFL hope as well. And then, he traded him. I was just like, oh, cool. Whatever. No big deal.
I'll trade you Eric Gilbert.
Nah, for what? You gonna send me him and Kyle McCord for
Drew Aller?
I'm trying to think. No, I don't know if I can move Drew Aller. I don't know. I can't. I haven't decided yet. This has been on the rest of this class goes. I've missed out on every quarterback. Like it's very frustrating for me. So I have the quarterback
really
bonus.
Been in on any quarterbacks in this class.
I've been on all of them except for I forgot. I didn't really put in on Ty Simpson, and I think I got in too late, so I just gave up on putting points in on him. But then I was second on Quinn Ewers. I was top. I had a 70 chance of winning Gavin Wimsatt, and Kevin got him. There was 2 other quarterbacks that I was a second on. I didn't get any of them, and so I was just like, no, I got Caden Hauser, but I mean, he's not. I mean, he's top 10 for me, but I don't know that he's got, even if he does go to the NFL, he doesn't have massive NFL upside. So it's just like, I'm fucked. So that's why I don't want to move Aller because I don't have anybody to anchor my college team quarterback-wise right now.
But you'd have Kyle McCord, though.
I could, but not for Drew Aller.
I'll give you McCord and Rattler.
I don't want Rattler. I feel like
I got that reaction from everybody. Rattler. And I feel like that just makes him a huge buy for me at this point. I don't know.
I just want to know where he goes. Because I don't know. I'm very confused on what I think about him. Because he's got all the intangibles, and I do think he could still make it to the NFL and be a decent quarterback. But my problem is with him is it's one thing I always talk about when people ask about quarterbacks. It's like, you can watch the film all day and think these guys are going to be good, but it's all here. This is what completely changes how good a quarterback really is. I don't think he has this based on the way he plays. And so I don't know, I don't even know that he's going to be like Jameis Winston. I think he could be worse than that. So what is his real NFL future? What does he do next year? I agree with you. I don't think he'd be a great fit with Lane Kiffin. Now, if he went to Lane Kiffin, part of me would want that just because I think Lane Kiffin would at least make his stats look good. But where is he going to go that he's really going to produce? I know Colin brought up yesterday Oklahoma State, which I think would be a very interesting place to go. I mean, why can't I think of his name right now? Mike Gundy, he's put quarterbacks into the NFL who are not good in Brandon Weeden and Mason Rudolph. Yeah. So, I mean,
the scourge of the AFC North right there.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State quarterbacks.
That was Rattler's clearly got more skill than both of them. Maybe he could turn him around and then be good. I think that'd be at least a very interesting story if he were to go and when they go and play each other there in Bedlam. But yeah. I don't think Felix is coming back. So
I don't think so either. I thought he just got home. It sounded like he was walking in the door, but
I saw he tweeted something, but well, then I'm gonna call it so I can go to bed.
That sounds